Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump is acquitted, like I've been saying forever. I told you there was a 0% chance he would be convicted. There were other people who thought that he was on in mainstream. There were people writing that, oh my goodness, the evidence is so overwhelming that the Senate is going to convict President Trump. That was absurd. He was never going to get acquitted, and I told you this. Now you could say, well, you said that Madam Secretary would be nominee. The same person is president. Same controversies, pay-to-play schemes. We can go on forever. I was the only person on the left in 2016 to tell you that Clinton would lose to President Trump. But my analysis and my evaluation for the past 4 years, he never worked with Russia. The second the Steele dossier was published, I said it was complete nonsense and bandini and garbage. Their Facebook ads didn't swing any votes. There was never any evidence that Trump paid or worked alongside Russian intelligence officials to swing the election. The whole thing's nonsense. It was this McCarthy-era tinfoil hat fantasy because Democrats lost and they had to save face. So they blamed, that's the definition of xenophobia. To blame another country for your failures, which Democrats did for 4 years based on a high to moderate confidence assessment. And they indicted 18 Russian intelligence officials based on Company One's evidence, quote unquote, and Company One, they paid. So anyway, it was a third-party tech firm. We can go on forever. They never found anyone. Can you name a Facebook ad or a Twitter bot that was capable, that was able to take a Clinton voter and turn that person into a Trump voter? Never happened. They made it up. Just like they made up when President Zelensky being strong-armed and leveraged by Trump. Even President Zelensky of Ukraine himself stated he was never forced to do anything. Now the United States government is actually investigating Caligula, Biden's son. But here the Washington Post, Trump acquitted on impeachment charge. New York Times, Republican acquittal of Trump is a pivotal moment for the party. Who knows how they're going to spin this? The vote signaling how thoroughly the party has come to be defined by the personality of one man. The personality. No, it's not the personality of one man. It's likely to leave a blemish on the historical record. The only blemish will be the hysteria and the obsession that today's Democratic Party has with one man. I didn't vote for President Trump because I love his personality, because I worship him, because I didn't write articles that went viral in the Hill, the Huffington Post, Salon, and other publications in 2016 because I worshiped Bernie Sanders. I want an end to perpetual counterinsurgency conflicts. I know that Democrats and many good, wonderful, morally superior liberal Democrats don't care. They don't care if Americans are off into military quagmires forever. I care. This is important to me. Far more important than climate change, because when you have militaries in a powder keg in one place, and they have many countries that are capable of launching certain types nuclear powers in one location, where Hillary Clinton wanted a no-fly zone above Damascus, you're looking at major problems, perhaps the end of the planet. But aside from that, you have counterinsurgency conflicts that when you can read Daniel Bolger's book, General Daniel Bolger, Why We Lost. The United States military, and no military, no matter how powerful, is capable of imposing a political reality upon a region of the world that perhaps either doesn't want that political vantage point, or we learned our lessons from Vietnam. The French learned in Vietnam before us. The Russians, the Soviets learned in Afghanistan. We learned the same thing. You just simply can't utilize submarines and the most powerful weaponry on the planet against a person wearing flip-flops and with an RPG. You just can't. There's no. You can't send Americans off to fight in these conflicts forever. You can't impose interventions and regime changes and destabilize the planet, which is what President Obama did in Libya, and which is what Bush and Cheney and Rumsfeld did. Hit subscribe to this channel right now, because I'm going to give you a vantage point from somebody. I'm going to give you the moral vantage point, the moral case to vote for President Trump. It is a moral. It is a moral imperative to have voted for President Trump if you wanted to end perpetual counterinsurgency conflicts. Okay? You can't have that smart power, neoconservative type of foreign policy that the Lincoln Project pushed. It is the most detrimental, devastating thing, not only for this country, but for the world and for all the countries that we try to help by the Lincoln Project foreign policy. I oppose the Lincoln Project. Now you see what's going on. The Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld Republicans were the most destructive political force of the past 30, 40 years. Since Vietnam, they ignored the lessons, and they got us into yet another endless conflict without any definition of victory that spawned new adversaries that we can't really say the names. This is why a Bernie Sanders supporter would vote for President Trump. For anyone watching who says, oh my God, this person has lost it. This is why I don't care about the tweets, even though President Trump should learn from those tweets and learn the lessons, okay? You vote for President Trump for moral reasons because you want an end to never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. You don't want President Obama and the Libya intervention to destroy a country and turn it into a failed state. You don't want Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld and Lincoln Project people to control U.S. foreign policy with never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts, which is what Liz Cheney's father pushed, Dick Cheney. And the Lincoln Project advocated. So are they directly responsible? Are they legally and morally responsible? Well, morally, for sure. Legally, no. So then how are you going to say that Trump is responsible for people when he didn't even instruct people? Many of the Lincoln Project and the associated organizations, people like Bill Kristol, in addition to all the Lincoln Project people, Steve Schmidt and Weaver and Wilson and all of them, they went after... They not only pushed and advocated for these endless military conflicts that ruined the lives of hundreds of thousands of people around the world, but they went after American veterans, Vietnam veterans. And then they had the audacity to go after Trump for allegedly saying something he never said. The Atlantic runs an article. They don't have anything on Trump. The Atlantic runs an article with a mystery quote attributed to Trump, which makes no sense at all. Yet they claim it's fact, just because they think it happened. Then, and these are the people who went after veterans, just because, like Senator Max Cleland opposed the Iraq War. But you have Adam Schiff literally fabricating a parody because he didn't have enough within the White House transcript to impeach Trump the first time. Then they added a blue check mark to one of Trump's retweets. They didn't have to do that. They needed to do that because they didn't have enough evidence. So now he's acquitted. And I told you he would be. But it's like, and this, I mean, it wasn't that big, that wasn't like such a leap. Yeah, I know it's not like, an amazing prediction, but the analysis and evaluation on this channel is spot on. In terms of like the past 4 years, if I took a leap here and I said, oh yeah, Madam Secretary, okay, I mean, I could defend myself regarding that, but it's like I won't. I certainly won't. But he has now won. I mean, this is like winning the Super Bowl and the World Series. Lincoln Project is done, kaput, completely been obliterated and annihilated by their own misdeeds and misconduct and nefarious and despicable and disgusting activity. And criminal, alleged activity. Allegedly criminal, like the allegations are despicable. But there's evidence, though. There are emails. There's no evidence against Trump. There were no emails against that showed that he worked with Russian intelligence officials. There was no money trail. There was nothing. That's why they didn't, like, when they say, well, you can't indict a sitting president. Oh, yes, you can. Oh, yes, you can. If they commit a crime, of course you can indict a sitting president. They were talking about a memo, a Justice Department memo. It's not law. It's not law. Lawrence Tribe, who has just utter contempt for Trump, the Harvard professor stated, of course you can indict a sitting president. Of course you can indict a sitting president. So he wasn't indicted on anything. Why? Because there was never any. They have to make things up against Trump simply because of his person. They don't like his personality. President Trump should not have insulted LeBron James. He should not have insulted NFL athletes. He shouldn't have utilized Twitter in the manner that he did, and that's a fact. And people can say, "Well, I like his personality." It's like, well, you know what? Politics. You can't, even if you have a vantage point, you have to. If you're a leader, you should create dialogue, discourse, debate. You should have if you want to project a vantage point, it can't be that divisive. And you can't do so with like a sledgehammer and a bulldozer approach. Because you're losing the message. President Trump allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. Signed a prison reform legislation. Focused on economic improvements within communities. The platinum program, economic opportunity zones, which is what Democrats should have done a long time ago. He focused on wealth within the African American community. President Trump did. These are good things. It's good to build up wealth. It's good to build up wealth within a community that Democrats oftentimes, if you look at communities run by Democrats, they're oftentimes, in many cases, impoverished for generations. No emphasis on lifting up the community through wealth and generation and businesses. And, so that's what Trump tried to do. It was lost. They've tried to erase that from history because of his tweets. Abraham Accords, all of these things. First president to step foot in North Korea. These are great accomplishments. They've been now erased from history because Democrats they just focus here. They're the ones who obsess over his personality. And then you have this like Bruce Springsteen commercial, which is it was so nauseating. I can't even stand it. I'm about to throw my computer. It was so nauseating. It was like, you can reach the middle. You can reach the middle. And then you got to think of like, what were they? Their mentality, their mind, like their vision of a Trump supporter or a person who supports Trump is like this toothless, like ignorant, easily impressionable, gullible individual that like is mindless and is like this like bumpkin, like this like they see like a church and Bruce Springsteen and let's reach to the middle. It's the middle of the U.S. and there's a pickup truck and it's good, right? Trump supporter, yeah. You mindless buffoon, yeah. Bruce Springsteen is even born in the USA. You remember? Yeah, he's a make the middle. So we're happy now. The middle is good. Yeah. Biden's president. We got what we wanted. He's in the middle. You can have a middle. Yeah. That's not most 74 million people who watch this who voted for President Trump were either like felt nauseated or like just laughed out loud. The mentality. Do you understand? 74 million people who voted for President Trump don't exist in the minds of apoplectic, morally superior Democrats. Don't ever debate a Democrat. Don't ever debate a liberal on Trump, ever. Because they will look at you like you are the only person who voted for Trump. You are the only individual who voted for Trump in their eyes. There's the person. There's you. Oh my God, if it wasn't for you, Trump, the despot, even you did it. 74 million people voted for things because of moral reasons. It was a moral imperative to vote for President Trump. That's if you wanted to end or reverse U.S. foreign policy. But CNN doesn't care. It's fiery but peaceful. They have it, it's fiery but peaceful. Building in flames behind the person is fiery but mostly peaceful. But Trump is the person, there shouldn't have been a protest that day. What happened was absolutely devastating and horrendous. It was a tragedy. Those 5 people should be alive. But there was 19 people. There were 19 people who lost their lives in the mostly peaceful protests, where $1 to $2 billion in property damage happened to coincide with left-leaning organizations, where you had businesses boarded up saying, please, we believe in this organization, or we side with you, we support you, please don't torch our business, please don't break the windows. People were boarding up. Businesses around the country, in every major city, including Los Angeles, were boarding up their windows. Why? It was mostly peaceful, right? And all the progressive YouTubers who have utter contempt for Trump, or left-leaning or liberal YouTubers, or $20 million venture capital people who spread the tinfoil hat myth hoax that he worked with Russia and that he's pressured Zelensky, and now that he'll be convicted, they weren't marching in the mostly peaceful protests. Why? Someone should ask them, why weren't they marching? Why not? The same reason Pelosi doesn't kneel during the national anthem, or Biden will never kneel during the national anthem. You want to know? See, they have the same vantage point as Trump does during the national anthem vantage point. Now, President Trump should have been more diplomatic, okay, or at least should not have said what he said. But the difference is that both Biden and Trump will never kneel during the national anthem. Why? Democrats derive and extract political utility from every cause possible. And they sit on the fence, or they just sit on the sidelines and they say, you go ahead and take the political heat. We'll cover for you, but we're not going to actually go there with you. But we'll derive every single ounce of political utility. Oh, we'll bail you out also. Yeah. But we won't march with you. And by the way, Biden wrote the crime bill. The 100-to-1 sentencing disparity for the same narcotic his son Caligula used. Yeah, that was Biden. It's the Democratic Party. They run only on public relations. They destroyed Libya. Nobody talks about that. Okay? But Trump is the nationalist and the supremacist and everything. They're the ones who preside over the worst atrocities, but they get away with it because media says, it's not really President Obama's fault. It was a NATO intervention. Well, who do you think runs NATO? It's not any other country but us. Give me your thoughts below. He won again. President Trump won again. He needs to learn from his mistakes, though. You can't just, look, it's a victory. And seeing the Lincoln Project dissolve in their own disgusting, putrid mess is very interesting, because these are the same people who not only got us into never-ending wars, but look at the type of human being going after Trump. They say Trump is this immoral, amoral person, whatever. President Trump presided over the Abraham Accords, beginning of détente between North and South Korea. President Moon Jae-in and Netanyahu in Israel both told Biden, hey, please continue Trump's respective foreign policies, or the foreign policy victories or successes of President Trump. Please continue that in the Biden administration. Why? Because Trump presided over some really, really amazing things. Paradigm-changing foreign policy accomplishments. Fact. A fact. And the Lincoln Project and the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld people, who are the good Republicans, and the Democrats like Biden, presided over the worst foreign policy failures and yet media says they're the moral ones. And you look at the immorality taking place right now at the Lincoln Project. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Huge victory for President Trump. I told you it would happen. Thank you.